Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is JGOD. In today's video, we're going to take a look at one of the most popular weapons within Warzone and in multiplayer, and that is going to be the MP7. And I don't think it's as strong as a lot of people think. I think it feels really good in most players' hands. If you're able to land your shots, the TTK ends up being well below average in my opinion, especially when you compare it to the rest of the meta weapons. So it looks like you guys enjoyed that in the M4 versus the Gfuel video I did, as well as the Odin video where I broke down their individual ranges and damage profiles as far as time to kill goes, so you know how fast you can down an enemy within Warzone. One other question I did get asked is these class setups work perfectly well within the multiplayer, but how you're going to really change them comes down to which mode you're playing. If you're playing 66, you don't need as much range because most of the maps are smaller, engagements are a little bit closer, you don't need as much range, so you can actually opt for faster aim down sight time, faster movement, faster sprint out time. But within the Warzone mode, you're going to want to make sure you can hit your shots at all possible, so that's really going to depend on your individual skill level, and that's why I typically include a couple different class setups, one for solo, one for trios. But both of those class setups you can go ahead and take into the regular multiplayer and see how they fit your individual play style. If you do enjoy the video, let me know by hitting that like button. We've been doing really well in the videos, so maybe we're going to up the goal to 1,000 likes. If you can help me hit that number, definitely be appreciative of that, and let's see if we can hit that number as soon as possible. Hopefully you're enjoying the content. And with so many brand new players coming to Warzone, there's about 82% of you currently watching my videos on a regular basis might not even realize you're not subscribed. If you're part of that 82% that hasn't yet subscribed but continue watching the videos, double check to make sure you are subscribed with notifications on if you're actually looking to find your way back to the channel. So initially, if this is your first time looking at it, it's going to look like a lot of different numbers. I'm not really going to break down all the details. I'm only going to break down the most important part, which is the time to kill, and then I'm going to show you a visual graph of that because some people are more a visual type of people. I'm going to put the numbers that I'm focusing on in the description, and you'll kind of see this on screen if you want to pause it and see what that individual chart looks like. So if we're comparing all the different weapons that I've broken down so far, we have the various meters listed up here, and we put some incredibly far ranges because of the Warzone game mode. And really what you're looking at here is the TTK to be as low as possible. So the lower the number here, the better, and these little black lines are where the range changes from one damage profile to the next. So we're looking at the MP7 for using the recon barrel and the monolithic, which we're going to see in the class setup. This will boost your range significantly, and that's pretty much all you can do to boost your range. So if you're getting a little bit of the base damage as well as upper chest, you should be getting a relatively competitive time to kill when you're comparing all these individual values. As we go a little bit further, you can see that the time to kill drops significantly, and this is where the headshots are going to matter. About 12-15 meters, you still got okay TTK if these people with the M4 are not missing their shots. If they hit their shots, you're losing the gunfight 10 out of 10 unless you just land every bullet to the head, which is very unlikely. And you can see it drops off even further and even further. So for the most part, even though this thing is very laser accurate, if this is your most accurate SMG, this is probably one I would use, but there are going to be better SMGs as I break down the list. So if you guys are interested in seeing that, let me know what other SMGs you like broken down, whether it's the MP5, the Bison, the Uzi, whatever the case is, let me know and I'll go ahead and do that breakdown video for you. So here's all those numbers converted to a chart. And right here we have the lower number being the better time to kill. And as it goes higher, that is a bad thing. And as you can see, we have the MP7 in yellow, which is this top line, isn't all that great. And then if you land only chest shots, it'll be competitive up close, but once you get around 15 meters right here where the damage drop off is, you're much better off having the M4 or the Gfuel. Obviously there's no debate that the M4 and the Gfuel are probably some of the most dominant weapons in the game. It can be beat out in certain scenarios if you're landing upper chest, headshot, different variables, team shooting, somebody doesn't have full plates. There's a lot of variables there. So one thing that's crazy is if you actually look at the number of shots to kill, it'll take 18 shots to kill if you don't land chest or headshots. Obviously that's unlikely, but if you're only hitting someone anywhere but those two areas, it's going to take 18 shots to kill. So just kind of keep that in mind. This is still an SMG and it's going to only excel within these ranges because you're going to have the little bit better mobility, probably less recoil because this is a very low recoil weapon. So this is the class setup I'm using currently. I'm messing around with double time because I wasn't really feeling like as many people are sniping, and regardless they could still see you without the cold-blooded. So I kind of changed that one up. I'm still using using Ghost and Tune Up because of the weapon swap. RPGs are very helpful in Warzone. And then when we go ahead and come over here to the MP7, the class setup I'm running is the Monolithic Suppressor, the FSS Recon Barrel, the Merc foregrip, and that helps with any kind of recoil. Obviously, I can move this over to no stock or something like that if you want a little bit faster ADS, but these two attachments are the primary ones. You want the range attachments, and these ones will give you the maximum range for this weapon. Obviously, you saw it on the chart. Without these range attachments, now you're cutting it down by about 30 or 40%. When you combine those two, it's a significant drop off. Merc foregrip, I just want no recoil, because if someone is even at further range, I can't afford to miss shots, especially if they're at medium range. We get the 60 round mag because it's going to take a ton of shots to kill. Obviously, it can kill relatively okay or below average, but I want to make sure I got to hit those shots, or else I'm only going to be able to down one person, maybe two, if they just were standing still for me and they weren't very good or already low health. And then I have the FSS close quarters stock. You could easily swap this one out. If you wanted no stock, you're going to get a little bit better movement speed. If you want a stipple grip instead, you can kind of modify that. I think overall, you could make it even faster if you wanted to go ahead and put on the tack laser. So there's a little bit of variety there. I wouldn't put an optic on this unless you just felt like it had bad iron sights. And there's two different types of iron sights to keep in mind. You can go with the base weapon if you just go over here to the base MP7, or if you have the Piercer variant, it's going to have slightly different iron sights, and you can kind of pick and choose. So keep that in mind. Different blueprints will have different iron sights, as we saw in the MG34 video. So that's the class setup I would use. Obviously, if you have your own individual preferences, you can change it to whatever you want to make it a little bit faster, but this is going to be the all-around best one, I think, for multiplayer as well as Warzone. So this is unfortunate for anyone who has the free version, which only allows you access to Warzone, because in the multiplayer there is a private match setup. So if you can find this game on a significant discount, I'm not saying go out and buy it at whatever cost it is, I'm saying try and get a good deal on it, because there's so much flexibility in the multiplayer when it comes to private matches. And the reason for that is because it allows you to set it up where you can play a custom match. You can set it up with bots, whatever. Let's put it 5 versus 5 in TDM. And then what we can do is go ahead and change the rules. You can modify the rules so you can make the matches longer. And this is something I've talked about, improving your accuracy and warming up. But one other thing you can do is go ahead and change the max health. Obviously, it's not going to feel exactly like Warzone, because you're not going to get the white hit markers from the armor, and then the blue when the armor breaks, and then them eventually downing, because basically they have the regular 100 health. If you want to experimenting like how a gun feels on certain health levels, you can actually modify that to 200, 250. And then what I would do is I would put it so that the multiplayer radar map is always on, so you could just focus on those engagements and see how those overall engagements feel. If you want to see how the weapon does close quarters, go ahead and do it. Obviously my numbers are there, but that's just numbers until you actually feel, okay, this weapon kills super fast, but it's impossible to hit shots. Then the TTK really isn't that low. It's more of a practical TTK. You got to kind of factor it in based off your individual accuracy. If you're able to hit about 90% of your shots with one weapon versus 30% of the other, probably the one that you're going to hit 90% of the shots is a little bit better of a weapon after you factor everything in there. But it's really hard to say. So when I come into here, if I wanted a little bit longer map ranges, I could probably put on Grasna Raid, and you're gonna see how the MP7 performs. A lot of people ask this too. I'm also using Damascus camo for whatever reason. It's not a very common camo that people are seeing, I guess, in Warzone. And a lot of people ask about this. Basically, you get this by getting gold and platinum on all the weapons if you're brand new to Call of Duty Modern Warfare. All right, so now check out, see how quick the bullets disappear. You got to shoot somebody a bunch of times. Oop. I got to reload. Look at it. They can get around corners. See? I'm used to regular multiplayer damage because the other guns do so much faster damage. You notice it a lot, especially when you get these further ranges. That's why Grasna Raid is a really good map for that. And you kind of just see how it performs. Obviously, in the heat of the moment, look at how many shots you have to land on somebody. And this is what I would call a practical TTK, because it actually shows the damage. Ooh, that was Joe Seacott right there. There it is. You got some other devs in there. So the bot names are all that. So that's what I would recommend doing. Maybe if you want to see 200 health, see how many shots it feels like. But I'm telling you, it's a lot of shots when somebody is at range. And if you can't be 100% accurate. Look at this shots right here. Let's go ahead and get him. It's just so many shots. You don't notice how many it is. It's like 8 shots right there. If I'm landing every shot, let me see if I can get... Ooh. Still decent if I'm landing some headshots in there. But it still gives people plenty of time to get around the corner. Because the TTK is not super fast. So obviously with that, you got to have the paid version of the game. I'm not saying go out there and buy it at full retail. I would say try to get it as cheap as possible. You can get it on one of those third-party sites or used or eBay. Somebody didn't like the game and they returned it. Even if it's just for that, that'll allow you to really maximize and experiment with your loadouts, especially since when you're a very new player, you're not really gaining a ton of experience for all of these weapons, and you really want to see what works best for you before you grind out all the levels. You got to grind this all the way to level 54 before you find out if you even like it, because you got to unlock some of these attachments, and you can get all the attachments unlocked in a private match. That's really what I want to show off to you guys. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, let me know by hitting that like button. Again, a goal on today's video is 1,000 likes, so you help me out, hit that number. I'd definitely be appreciative of that. If you're brand new, you'd like to find your way back, definitely hit the red subscribe button with notifications on. We'll see you all in the next one. Thank you for watching, and as always, have a great day.